Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You know, a lot of times in some of these groups on Facebook, guys are always asking what's the best course of action for decals, water slide decals. Now, obviously, they're water slide decals. You can do them with plain water, and I did them that way for many years. But there's so many different setting solutions now to use, and some of the setting solutions that I like to use is microset when I just want to have decals lay good on a flat surface, or microsol when you might have some curves or something that you want the decals to conform to. Now, when we did the number 22 Miller High Life Bobby Allison car, I used both. There were some decals that wouldn't lay properly because of all the curves and stuff like that on that body. But today, all I plan on using is some microset. And basically what you do is you'll soak your decals, and these are a little bit of a bear because they're so old. I've done a few, as you can see, and we're going to put these three on the other side. But these, they don't want to come off too easy. They take a little bit longer soak time to slide off easy, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I won't make you sit through the whole decal process. We'll just put a couple on and see how that goes. Alright, so first, obviously, cut your decals out that you want, and cut them as close to the decals as possible, eliminating some of that clear film as much as possible. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to clear coat over them. So many times if you leave some of that clear border, you're not going to see it as long as your clear coat has thick enough coats on them, or several coats that cover. Then you're going to wet sand and smooth those edges out anyway. So let's start with the Swamp Rat decal. You'll want your tweezers, and of course you're going to soak your decal in warm water for 10 to 20 seconds, and hopefully my fat arm won't be in the view of the camera. So like I said, these decals are taking a little bit longer soak time to release from the backing paper. You know what, let's put this over here. Let's just rearrange some stuff here, shall we? It'll make it easier for me. I'm right-handed, and if I continue going that way, I'll just be in the way. Alright. Move these out of the way for now. Alright, let's test our decal and see if it'll slide off. Yep, it looks like it's going to slide off. So obviously leave it on the decal paper and slide it into position right onto the body. Now, if I was not filming, what I would be doing is I would be using this to slide it off the decal paper. You want to keep it wet so it'll slide easy. Don't let it dry up, and move it a little bit at a time, or else you risk ripping it. Let me check the other side, see where we're at. A little bit higher. When I'm doing decals, I always do like the flip test. Like you're looking at it like this and then just looking to see. And you can pretty much tell if you need to move it up, move it back, what have you. So I want to go back a little bit further. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. Look at it that way. Look at this side. Alright, then you want to take your paper towel, blot the excess water, take your Q-tip, and you want to work out any air bubbles to the edges. Right? Now obviously you want to blot the excess water, because if you leave it completely wet and you hit it with a Q-tip, you run the risk of moving it from where you just put it. Right? Alright, so let's look at the positioning. I kind of like where it's at. It looks good. Let's move on. Alright, so the next one that we're going to go with is the AMT decal. So once again, get your decal. My fat arm's in the way, isn't it? Of course it is. Let's see if it'll release from the backing paper. Not quite yet. Still not yet. That's what I said. They're, I think because they're older, they're a little bit more stubborn, set in their ways, kind of like me. Alright, so let's see where we got to put this one. Right, like right underneath that rat's tail. Let's look and see how we did it over here. Here we go. Alright, let's do the eyeball test. We'll try to keep it in frame, guys. I don't know, guys. I kind of like where it's at, so I'm going to go with it just that way. Like I said, keep it wet until you're ready, until you know that's where it's going to be. Okay, I like the location, so I'm going to go with that. So, like I said, blot off all the heavy water. And I don't know if you're picking it up, but if you look, you can see that there's some air bubbles and stuff like that under the decal. So you want to go and you want to work those out as best as possible. Work all the air bubbles out to the edges from the center out. Sometimes it doesn't always happen. You're gonna do the best job that you can with it. Just keep working at it. Now a lot of times once you use a setting solution, this'll lay flat because it softens the decal, so it lays flat and some of the air bubbles remove themselves. So I want to do one more decal with you guys, and I'm gonna let you go because I don't want to bore you. I just wanted to show this because I've had a couple people ask what technique I use for this, and this is the technique that I use. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Not yet. If you don't know, this is the Swamp Rat 6 Winch Jammer, Big Daddy Don Garlett's front engine dragster that I am building for Old Tom, Ramblers 69 appreciation build. And if you don't know who Old Tom is, you're missing out. He's an awesome guy in the community. Alright, so we're going to find a place for this one. Of course, it was not in frame, but you'll forgive me. So we're going to move this back a little bit. Get it straightened out. Being stubborn. I think the AMT decal could actually be better positioned. Let me re-wet this AMT decal. See if I can get it to move. Yep, just a little bit. And that's the thing too, guys. If you get your decals set, but you haven't cleared over them or haven't used a setting solution just yet, you can re-wet them with warm water and re-slide them where you need them to go. So I think all right. I think that's a little bit better. And add them off. Work out the air bubbles. You know, it's kind of funny because when I was racing, I used to be very particular about measurements and stuff like that, where decals were on both sides of my race car, especially when it came to contingency. Obviously, contingency decals have placements, and the placement is very important. They're very particular about the placement, especially in NASCAR sanctioning body. They're very particular where their contingency decals end up. But when we're doing graphics on the car, is very particular, very particular about where the graphics were on my car. And the old heads would always tell me, Robbie, you ain't got to worry about that. People can only look at one side of the car at a time. And they're right. You know, and that might be true. But when you have OCD and all that other stuff. Alright. So I'm using a microsol. And you're going to let that set on there for a little bit. It'll soften the decal. It'll flatten them out. Now there is instructions on the bottle, and I will read them to you. Softens decals and improves adhesion. And a decal remover. Brush microset on the model where the decal is to be applied, then dip the decal in the water, blah blah blah. I don't do it that way. I do it the opposite way. I put it on the top, obviously. You've seen that. You could do it both ways. Wait a few minutes for the decal to soften, then press the decal down with a piece of moist paper towel. Repeat as necessary. So you just seen my Polish ways of doing it. Alright. So dab it off. Either way will work, guys. Either way will work. I've used both techniques. This is the dry end of the Q-tip. Just making sure And then once I lay all these decals, I will go ahead and I will clean up my fingerprints, and then we will get clear coat on this and hopefully get this finished this weekend. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this. For some people, they already know about this stuff, but for any new people coming along, this is just one way of applying decals to your model car. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Happy modeling.